So, it is official. Grim Dawn is actually getting a third expansion. The Fangs of Asterkarn has been announced like 2 weeks ago in a stream by Zantai, and today I can finally talk to you about it. This expansion is gonna entail a full new region, a new act, a new mastery, and many other ways to get more powerful, like for example potion customization, new dodge roll ability that you can customize as well as affix transmutation.
Our third expansion, the Fangs of Asterkarn.
Literal chills if you look at the screen, right? It's gonna be an expansion located in the Asterkarn Mountains, obviously. And if you have played the Grim Dawn community season 4/5, then you can probably know what to expect from us. We, as the modders/developers of the community seasons, are not affiliated with Crate, so there is not going to be an actual implementation of the content that we have done from the season. However, that also means for you guys that there's going to be the official content alongside our content, giving you as players even more content to enjoy overall. Since the Fangs of Asterkarn expansion is going to take place to the west of Fort Icon, we do not have to delete any of our content, and we just have to do some adjustments like lore-wise as well as maybe regional-wise, and then we can fully merge the seasonal content with the expansion once the expansion is out. But I mean, that's going to take a while anyway, so if you want to enjoy snowy content until then, do check out the community seasons. You can also play them offline if the season is not active.
In this expansion, we're going to be talking about the Kern, which are a nomadic people living in the Asterkarn region. And you will be delving into their history and figuring out why they're suddenly traveling back east into renewed conflict. And these people, the Kern, are actually featured prominently in our upcoming RTS. So we wanted to give you guys a little bit of backstory about them before you get to play our RTS.
So if you have been playing the Grim Dawn season 4 or 5, the community season 4 or 5, then you might think that some things are a bit familiar to you here. For example, the affix transmutation system. Crate is actually gonna have an official way to transmute affixes in this case. Now, the difference to the seasons that you might have played, or maybe not, and if you haven't, you should check them out, is that in the seasons you have items that you can basically consume on items, like use on items to change their affixes, whereas in the official expansion, the functionality for affix transmutation is gonna be integrated into the inventor NPC. So the inventor NPC, where you can retrieve components or remove components from items, or blow up items with dynamite, or transmute an item of a set piece to another set piece, or to another piece of the same set. That NPC is also going to have the transmutation functionality, which means that you will be able to transmute the prefix or the suffix, I assume, on a yellow/green item. And also what I maybe think is going to happen here is that these so-called awakened epic items might be also awakened at the inventor at some point once you do some quests or gather some materials. Maybe, I'm not sure. That might also be a thing in the new expansion, in the new areas of the new expansion. We'll see. But yeah, you can also apparently awaken epic items, which Zantai said are gonna basically upgrade epic items to legendary items. What that exactly means or entails, we'll see. I mean, currently we know that epic items do not have skill modifiers, whereas legendary items do have skill modifiers. So it might mean that you can put skill modifiers on epics, or it might mean that you just basically upgrade all the stats on an epic item, or that you put on more stats, like an additional basically affix maybe on an epic item, like you can do in the Grim Dawn League. In the Grim Dawn League, it was a bit unbalanced, maybe because it was just the standard affix pool, but I can see a system where you have special affix pools just designed for these epic items that, well, basically just add something like a skill modifier, or maybe some minor stat that isn't quite as powerful as a fully fledged rare affix. I can see something like that actually working pretty well with the base game, and I'm kind of thinking they're going for something like that, but we'll see. Now, what else can you expect from this expansion? You can obviously expect a new story chapter. Zentai has said that the new expansion maps are gonna be as big as Forgotten Gods, maybe even slightly bigger. We'll see what they have planned exactly. So this is going to be actually a pretty big expansion, I would dare to say. Like, Forgotten Gods was, in my opinion, not small at all, and they said it's going to be a bit bigger than that even. And you could argue Forgotten Gods was smaller than Ashes of Melmoth. So when it comes to size, maybe like something between Ashes and Forgotten Gods, maybe even like up to the size of Ashes, we'll see. We will have a 10th Mastery. Now, this is going to be actually huge. This is, in my opinion, personally, the most exciting news here, because the 10th Mastery, the Berserker, is gonna be a shapeshifter as well. It's gonna be a shapeshifting Berserker that focuses on, well, if not shapeshifted, at least on dual-wielding melee weapons, and will support the following damage types. At least these have been confirmed so far: Cold, Bleed, and Chaos. Knowing Grim Dawn's itemization and like ways to transform stuff, there's probably gonna be like pretty much a way to build a Berserker in almost any damage type in some way or form, at least once you collect like the right items for them, and so on and so on. But yeah, it's gonna be really exciting because this transformation, like this basically shape-shifting ability, was not really possible in Grim Dawn at all so far. Like the base functionality, like the engine side support, was basically non-existent for that before, and it seems like they are gonna actually make that work, and that's also gonna be huge for modding. So you can expect mods like the Diablo 2 Reign of Terror mod, like the Druid from there, right, to be able to actually also shapeshift and not just have like buff auras that like represent their, I don't know, like wolf forms or whatever, right? So that's going to be pretty huge, not only for players but also for modders to have like new tools to play around with, right? This is like huge because yeah, it's like a real engine change, like a real game changer, so to say, and really brings new functionality to the game. So that's really exciting for me personally as well. Then of course we will also have the Ascendant game mode here, right at the very top here. This is basically, from what I've understood so far, basically the Ultimate Veteran, the long requested, please make the main campaign an actual endgame mode. So Ultimate Veteran, aka Ascendant game mode, is hopefully gonna be as hard as something like higher Shadow Realms or higher Crucible waves, to be actually a way to test and prove your characters in the main campaign and not only in the, well, so-called like endgame modes. So the Ascendant game mode really ascends the main campaign to an endgame mode of itself in this way.
Next one, potion customization. So part of the reason why we overhauled potions and put them on the hotbar the way we did is we're actually going to overhaul potions again in the expansion. You will have the option of speaking to an alchemist to customize your potions. So if you want them to be healing plus extra stuff, you want them to have shorter cooldowns, you want them to have additional charges, you'll be able to do all those things. You'll be able to decide between what kind of containers your potions will have. You'll be deciding what ingredients you put into them to change their effects.
Right, so this is actually going to be really huge as well for me personally, because I think this is, alongside the transformative 10th Mastery, like alongside the tech for shapeshifting, probably the second most interesting thing here tech-wise as well. So potions have been completely deleted with 1.2, right? You don't have any more potions that you have to buy or gather. And now instead, you just have infinite potions. You have currently in 1.2 in the playtest, infinite health potions and infinite energy potions. But it seems like with this expansion, with the alchemist that they're introducing here, like a new NPC, you will be able to have basically like two like empty potion containers, more or less, and then depending on the ingredients that you put in there, like he said, have the potions, well, perform different tasks, or like have different effects for you, right? Like give you different buffs, maybe you can even have like two different like health pots, or maybe it's like one health pot base and like one energy potion base, and they just like put in some, I don't know, like some herbs or whatever to give you like some buff for half an hour, or like some buff for 10 seconds only, or like only for 2 seconds or 5 seconds. So this seems a bit more like Path of Exile Flask style in a way to me personally, which is honestly fine as long as it stays like as it is right now. Like, as it has like 2 potion slots, right? I don't want the game to like turn to something with like 5 or 6 potions, like in Path of the Exile, right? I don't want to like flask juggle too much, but I think 2 is a good number, and it fits Crate, or like rather fits Grim Dawn well, having a bit more simpler approach than PoE. And yeah, I also hope that like whatever buffs they're gonna put on those potions, it's gonna not turn into some like potion spamming like it was in PoE, at least like a couple of leagues ago. I don't know how bad it really is nowadays anymore. But yeah, definitely seems like you can customize your potions to, for example, have multiple charges. That is confirmed. Or to maybe like heal you for more, or for like a longer duration, maybe like more heal over time rather than like upfront heal, for example. Then another feature that is gonna be a thing in this expansion, and also actually is a thing in the 1.2 playtest already, is the all new like basically dodge ability. So similar to Diablo 3 on console, or also Diablo 4, or also Wolcen, actually, you're gonna have basically a dodge roll, or like dodge, or I don't know, like quick step ability, whatever you want to call it, right? So it's going to be bound to spacebar. It's going to go live in 1.2 with the very next test patch, which should be out this week. I will stream and check it out later this week, so you can tune in there if you want to see it in action. And this basically also means that the game is getting, well, more tools to dodge enemy abilities, which means also that Crate has the ability to make certain encounters a bit more interesting, with a bit more like power, like for example the new Sunder mechanic that is a thing also with 1.2 already, and obviously it's gonna, well, play a role in this Fangs of Asterkarn expansion as well. Does mean that you might have to actually actively dodge certain abilities going forward now. I mean, you are not going to get one-shot by the Sunder ability, but the Sunder ability basically makes you take a lot more damage after getting sundered. So you do want to dodge the Sunder attack to, well, not get insanely debuffed because of, well, getting hit. And the dodge roll on top of your mastery movement skills, on top of your rune movement abilities, like you have basically like 3, or if you, depending on the class, like probably like 4 or even 5 movement skills technically. I don't know, I mean, Grim Dawn is not really a zoomer game. It was always like rather known for its slower gameplay, but if you like more interactive, dodgy gameplay, like gameplay where you have to dodge, then this expansion is gonna be actually very interesting for you as well, and might finally get rid of this old prejudice that like Grim Dawn is a game for grim yawners, right? Like for people that fall asleep, and that is no longer the case. You can, well, apart from a still capped movement speed, which in my opinion actually makes sense for like strategic decisions and like, you know, making enemies actually matter. Otherwise, like, you would just play ranged or caster and kite everything to death, obviously. But it does make like the combat more interesting and more strategic, so that's pretty nice. Now, all the other stuff on this list is kind of whatever, I guess. Like, I mean, sure, Crucible obviously is going to be expanded, actually. Like, you're going to have 200 waves. That is huge for all the Crucible nerds out there, I guess. So you can expect harder waves. With harder content, you can also expect the player to be more powerful, obviously. On average, you're going to have like better affixes on your green items with the affix transmutation system. The potion customization is going to give players probably more power as well through like active buffs on potions, I would assume. And then, of course, if you can awaken your epic items, you can put like additional whatever on your epic items, gaining more power through that. And then, of course, there's going to be like, in general, more items that you can find through the like new expansion. As is shown here, I discover hundreds of new items. And then of course there's also going to be like 2 new factions, probably one friendly, one hostile. And the friendly faction is gonna have either augments or like probably other ways to maybe like customize your dodge roll, like your dodge ability. So yeah, I mean, player power is going to obviously rise up, even though you will not have a devotion point increase. 55 out of 55 is still going to be the max. And I think that's the smart move here. The devotion system is very delicate and very, I would say, generally well balanced. So you kind of don't want to touch that really. You rather want to add maybe some other systems on the side, like have some other like parallel progression systems, and yeah, I mean the potion customization, the affix transmutation system, as well as the like custom dodge is like those three systems are gonna be like ways to gain more power as a player. That's pretty nice. So anyway, I'm super hyped for this expansion. It's gonna be actually pretty nice to play around with all the new like modding tools. Well, just kidding. There's not gonna be any new like actual modding tools, right? It's still gonna be like the same old outdated shite. But yeah, the actual tech that we're getting though, with the transforming mastery, like with shapeshifting and the potion customization and the dodge roll, like those three tech things are amazing for me as a modder, and all the other things are obviously also amazing for me as a player, and hopefully gonna be enjoyable for you guys as well. I'll be continuing to cover any kind of news on the expansion as well as on the play test, the 1.2 patch, in the upcoming months to weeks, days, years, depending on how long that's gonna take, of course. And yeah, so I hope I'll see you around on the next one. Psst. Like, subscribe.